Hello everybody, welcome along to another edition of the Rebel Wide Ball. And I suppose before we start looking forward, maybe a look back at what was a fabulous weekend last weekend for Cork Hurling in particular, when they beat Tipperary, absolutely annihilated them if you like, and they now qualify for the All-Ireland Series in top place, and that will ensure that they'll probably get to a quarter-final day in, is it the 11th of June, they take on the Joe McDonagh Cup winners, which will be either Kerry or Antrim. It would be absolutely fabulous if it was Kerry, because the match would be played in Kerry, but it looks like Antrim. But anyway, and then after that they play the runners-up in Linzer, and more than likely that will be Kilkenny. It's a match between Galway and Kilkenny. I know in a once-off situation you don't know, but if it was Kilkenny you'd really favour Cork, because it would mean that Kilkenny would have lost 3 championship matches in this particular year. But for another day, I suppose if you like, there's a kind of a metamorphosis after taking place in Cork Hurling, a new belief, the fans are back believing, and I don't know, can you put it down to any one thing that happened, maybe a change in attitude, but there was a couple of positional switches maybe that may have contributed, where Kieran Joyce, who's absolutely making a huge difference since he came in, when she was moved into centre back. I know some of the experts tell us that, you know, Cork don't have a recognised centre back as yet. Maybe they do, and then that meant that Mark Coleman was able to move out to the wing, and you know, he an incredible hurler, and you saw what he added on Sunday. Then in midfield, maybe it is a little bit of a coincidence, but I don't think so, the inclusion of Luke Mead from Newstone has made a big difference in that particular area. He's one of the kind of unsung heroes of any particular team, whether it is for club or county. You know, the amount of hard work that he gets through. Up in the forwards, there's a change there of the guard, if you like, in that Patrick Horgan, an incredible hurler, now doesn't have to shoulder the responsibility for doing all the scoring, and that has been spread out a little bit more. And of course, the real, if you like, the real find has been the re-emergence of Connolly Hare from Middleton. And remember, you know, when he was cut from the panel, whoever made that call to bring him back this year, I think was really worthwhile. And also Tim O'Mahony. You know, for ages many of us thought that Tim O'Mahony was going to be the David Burns of the Cork Senior Hurling team from right half back, but that experiment seemingly is over, and he's now seen as real option to be brought in the forward division, where he creates havoc with his club when he plays there. And then of course you have the goal scoring machine that is Alan Connolly. He's made a huge difference. Shane Kingston as well is happy enough with whatever role he seems to play, whether bringing him on or whether he serves his time for a while and then moving on. But it's definitely has changed the mindset of a lot of Cork people. Number one, bringing them back into the fold. I know fans are fickle at times, but also it has reignited, if you like, hopes of a Rebel Sporting summer. Then we had the qualifier drawing last Monday morning, and there was something like maybe 14 different options out there, and the more favourable one was Louth at home. And would you believe it, when the draw lord was in his generosity decided that was the pairing. You got to think then maybe that whereas Keith Ricken, during his reign, with injuries and withdrawals and what have you, there was times when I was thinking to myself, is Keith a bit of an unlucky general? Well, maybe the opposite now was the case, that John Cleary could be a lucky one, because it is a good draw for Cork. Now, having said that, anybody who thinks that, you know, it's a case of Cork turning up in Páirc Uí Chaoimh, we'll be talking about it next week. My God, that would be the greatest error of all time. Like, this is going to be one of these matches where, you know, Louth will come down as the underdogs, put it up to Cork, and how Cork handle that. But we can talk about that at another stage. I suppose this weekend there's the big ones in terms of Gaelic Games are the 4 provincial finals in football and the incredible Tailteann Cup, which we're absolutely delighted with. But anyway, back to the provincial finals, and probably the least talked to one is the one that will take place Saturday at 3 o'clock in Killarney. Kerry versus Limerick. Now, I know some people are critical of that time, having the fixture in the middle of the day, but let's be honest, Kerry and Limerick was never going to excite the fans. Not in Kerry, not in Limerick, despite the fact in Limerick that under Billy Lee's stewardship, and maybe a little bit more interest from JP McManus, the county senior footballers are definitely progressing. They've won promotion, they've been well able to handle themselves in a lot of games, but this is going to be a step up, and the best they can hope for is a bit like a couple of weeks ago. is that the capitulation doesn't come early and they can hold out against Kerry, but eventually that is what is going to happen. I think you can be fairly sure about that. The next game in the provincial series is the Linzer Final at 5 o'clock on Saturday evening, and this is going to tell us a lot about, well, first of all, I suppose a bit about Kildare football. They are seemingly the best team in Leinster. They are after making progress. They have a number of scoring forwards now. But I think we'll be looking at it from a slightly different angle. Those of us outside Leinster is Dublin's re-emergence. Did they ever go anywhere? Is it going to continue after the, winning comprehensively against Wexford, likewise against Mead? And if they do it again against Kildare, well, you can be full sure that this philosophy this theory that was going around the place that this All-Ireland was Kerry's to lose, show over there, unless Kildare can put up a big battle and show that there is some frailties in the Dublin side, this could be a real worrying result from Kerry folk and others that may harbour hopes of winning All-Ireland. On Sunday then we have 2 provincial finals as well. In Connacht we have, like the way Connacht is structured, you have the 2 aristocrats, Galway and Mayo. You have Roscommon, whom we never know where they fit in, and then you have the 2 minnows, if you like, of Leitrim and Sligo. Well, when Roscommon play Galway or Mayo, and it is Galway on Sunday at 1:45, the assumption is that Galway will always win, but what in reality happens is that Roscommon will once again cause a surprise. They beat them in the League Final, Division 2 League Final, you may remember. They actually beat them as well in the final game of the league. That was a bit of a dead rubber, but I suppose, look, Galway are a bit forewarned. They'll be, endeavouring to reverse the fortunes of that league final. So that's probably the most interesting in terms of probably the competitive nature of that game. And then we have the Ulster final at 4 o'clock. And again, it's Derry and Donegal. Donegal nearly own Ulster final day. Derry, who have been very, very unsuccessful, I can use that word, in terms of Ulster football. Having only, I know, 1 or 2 since they won the All-Ireland back in 1993, I think it is. But they've come this year and knocked out the All-Ireland champions. Were a bit unlucky not to get promoted from Division 2. It will certainly be an interesting, and of course it will be, this typical cagey Ulster football at the start. But once you appreciate that and recognise that, it will take a couple of tons of genius to win it, usually in the forward division. So like all those provincial finals, I suppose, right, 3 of them definitely will have a competitive nature, we hope, to them. The Kerry Limerick game, it's just a case of Limerick trying to keep in the game for as long as possible. Then we have the Tailteann Cup, and again, we must say that I think the GA are making an effort with this, and there was a cohort of people obviously who felt it should be brought in. I don't know what they're thinking about. Like, it's absolutely, all of those teams have no chance whatsoever of winning a championship, and they have winning an All-Ireland championship. Probably the chance of they winning a provincial championship is so remote, once in every 5,000 years. So it is about time, and the chances are that in a couple of years' time there will actually be a 4-tiered competition. When things like counties like Waterford and those. But anyway, just to look at the games they're on, there's 4 of them on Saturday. Leitrim take on Antrim. Like, this could be a close game. It's on in Leitrim, so I think that'll swing it. There are 2 teams that probably won't win this competition, but in the great here they are having a real chance against each other. Cavan take on Down at 2 o'clock again, the same as the first game. Now, Down have been going through all sorts of battles and how the mighty have fallen, if you like. So Cavan would be expected to win that one, and the fact that it's on in Cavan as well is going to make a difference. Longford and Fermanagh, and I still think of your man from Fermanagh, the chairman, who a couple of years ago when they were trying to bring in a more radical Tailteann Cup, he made some comment, I think, that, every morning a Fermanagh man wakes up, he dreams about winning an Ulster final. The fact that they've never won one, it's the Stockholm syndrome up there. The Ulster Championship is sacrosanct, and don't get rid of it. Anyway, here they are, and they're up against Longford on Sunday. Again, that's going to be a close enough game, maybe the home advantage to Longford. Sligo take you on London, and we'll have an interest in this game because there's 2 Temple No men in action. in the Tailteann Cup this weekend. You have Pat Spillane, who lines up with Sligo on the ground. He plays his club football now with St Jude's in Dublin, and the fact that his mother Rosario is from Sligo, he qualified under that parentage rule. So that'll be an interesting one to 6 o'clock, and they're playing London at home. Sunderland in 3 matches. Laois, who are, I don't know what's happening in that county, but like between hurling and football, they're, I don't know, on a downhill slope, and it's not that they were very far up the hill in the first place. Westmeath will travel to Laois. You kind of fancy, and by the way, the Sunday games are 2 o'clock, you kind of fancy Westmeath in that. Offaly take on Wicklow. Anything other than an Offaly win here would be a bit of a surprise, despite the fact that Wicklow have defeated Laois and also won last weekend against Waterford. Still fancy Offaly. And Carlow play Tipperary in Carlow, and this is where the second Temple No Man is in action. He's Teddy Doyle, Gord, worked up in Enna for a number of years, got married up there, and he plays football with Ballina. He actually transferred to Ballina in last year and played for Tipperary before he's played any championship football for his club, and it is doing quite well up there. It's interesting that Pobbleskull in Ferskina will probably have the greatest representation of past pupils in the county action this weekend, in that there are 6 of their past pupils playing. You have 4 of them playing with Kerry, the 2 Spillanes and the Kerry panel, Adrian and Kelly and Tyg Morley and Gavin Crowley, and then you have the 2 lads playing in the Tailteann Cup, and Stephen and O'Brien and Sean O'Shea from Kinmere. So in actual fact, there's 8 past pupils, and I don't think there'll be any other past education institution will have that many pupils in action, past pupils in action this weekend. The Cork footballers, and you know what happened when they played Kerry in the Munster semi-final back on the 12th of May, beating out the gap, 116 to 5 points, didn't even score from play. Then a week later they went up to Thurles, and I remember some people saying maybe to be as well off they were beaten. They turned it on big time, and before the game started it was over. They ran in a scoreline of 3-20 to Tipperary 113, and I don't know what happened to Tipperary. Like, they have come through, won 3 games in Munster, but the show was over earlier on. But now the real test of this Cork team comes next Wednesday night in Páirc Uí Rinn when they take on Kerry in the Munster final. Do you know the gas thing about this in one sense? Win, lose or draw, they're through to the All-Ireland quarter-finals, because Munster have been paired with Ulster, so the winners in Munster will take on the runners-up in Ulster, and vice versa if you wish. And the Ulster final between Tyrone and Derry, I think it is, takes place on Sunday at 12:30. So that's kind of a look at the inter-county games that are on. Then this weekend is a big weekend, as it will be for the next while, for the Camogie and the ladies football team. And the Cork Camogie team, big win last week when they started their championship campaign in the Glyn Dimplex All-Ireland Camogie Championship. They had a good win over Wexford. Amy O'Connor, I think, getting 2 goals and 4 points in that match. Well, this weekend they take on Clare, and that game goes on in Páirc Uí Rinn on Saturday at 5 o'clock. And it's an interesting match in that they have now played this will be the 3rd meeting. The first meeting up in Clare, there was a row where Davy was involved. The second time, it was the Munster final, and it was an incredibly close game that went to extra time. So this is going to be an interesting one. Look, Cork will have to, I've said that Cork are going to qualify for the knockout stages, and they will. So it will be kind of interesting from the Fitzgerald history, because Davy's son, I can't think of his name, is in charge of Clare. And then the intermediate hurlers Camogie team, and this I think is a great innovation, if you wish. It's not in ladies football, that Cork are paired in a 6-team group, and in that they've Cork, Wexford, Derry, Mead and Kilkenny and Kildare. Obviously the second teams of Kilkenny, and Cork play Wexford in Enniscorthy on Sunday at 2 o'clock, and that's a formidable side as well. So we'll be watching how their progress, how they will progress. Then you have the whole scenario of the ladies footballers. They go to Killarney to take on Kerry in the Munster final. It's on as a curtain raiser to the senior football final. Cork play Kerry. Cork defeated Waterford, Kerry defeated Tipperary comprehensively, both won comprehensively. Kerry operate in Division 2 and they won that league a few months back. So, but I still think that Cork are going to win it. And again, we have the whole scenario of the dual Camogie and ladies football player. There's two of them involved here at the moment. Don't think Hannah Looney is back with the football squad, might be around there. But you have Maeve Callahan, who's one of the players involved, and Libby Coppinger. Now, I'm not too sure how this can be sorted. Like, this is not an easy scenario. Like, the ladies footballers are fixing their games for Saturday. The Camogie Association fixed their games for Saturday. Maybe both believe that. But there is work in trying to sort this out. And like, you have television rights, and then you have matches that want to be played before GA matches. So I remember first day thinking the merging of these two organisations is not as easy as people will make it out to be. And even though the GA the Camogie and the ladies football have embraced the dual player, it's a little bit more difficult than just simply put up your hands at an AGM. And like, it's not happening in the male version of this. Like, there's no such thing as a dual in the county player, and some people would get rid of dual club players if they could. But anyway, I think both Cork teams will emerge victorious at the weekend. Moving to soccer, and my God, the Premier League, it didn't disappoint on the last day, and Liverpool almost got there. They were playing Wolves, and you know, they were going to win that match. And then we had Man City playing Aston Villa, Steven Gerrard in charge of City and Aston Villa, and City 2 goals down. 5 minutes later, show over, 3 goals in that period. It was an incredible win for them. I don't know how many Man City supporters, but anyway, that was a huge one. And of course, Spurs did hold on for that coveted 4th spot. Manchester United, yes, they did lose, but so did Aston Villa. But at the bottom of the table, it was great news for the Leeds fans because of Everton. They did win their game on last Thursday night. Leeds had to win. My God, they did, and they stayed up. So that was a great result for them. 2 big games remain for this weekend. On Saturday, we have the Champions League final at 8 o'clock between Real Madrid and Liverpool. You couldn't ask for a better pairing. And for all of you who support Liverpool, it will be a great occasion. Obviously, if Liverpool win, for all of you who support every other team, from wherever, Malin to Mizzen, it'll be a great result if Real Madrid will win it. So that's that one. And then on Sunday at 4:45, it's back to the the championship, not the Champions League, the championship, the final match to decide what team goes up, the last team to go up into the Premier League. And it's Nottingham Forest, and there's quite a few Nottingham Forest supporters around the place. They will be taking on Huddersfield. I've yet to come across a Huddersfield supporter, so from that point of view, we're with Nottingham Forest on this one. Rugby, it's the European Cup final. Linzer going for their 5th, and it's on Saturday evening, I think at 4:45, where they play La Rochelle. And because we have to bring an Irish angle into this, and because I suppose everybody down in Munster will be backing La Rochelle because of Ronan O'Gara, probably because they're playing Leinster would nearly be a reason enough. Leinster going for their 5th title with a huge number of Irish players. They'll be expected to win it. La Rochelle, as far as I know, have never won this competition. So that'll be an interesting one. And finally, this weekend away from sport, or maybe it's all about sport, usually it's leaving the weekend before the Leaving Cert. But I think that the Leaving Cert class of 2022 have it completely cracked, right? Does it really matter anymore? I know you're going to say, have I completely lost it? Well, we'll just simply look at a couple of things, right? We have an inflation crisis in this country caused by a shortage. Cars, because there's a shortage of parts, shot to the roof, building situations, building projects because of the price of timber, concrete and all of that. The hotel industries, the hospitality industry, prices shot through the roof because of their costs. Now, just to put that in a little bit of context, third level education is a serious industry. And every industry is driven by money. This is no different. They have to have clients, and the clients are the students. And we've reached a stage in this country, in my humble opinion, where the number of places on offer is in excess of the number of students. Students have copped it. I think this Leaving Cert class are probably the most relaxed you've ever come across. I thought I'd never see the day when a school's social media platforms, well of course I never thought I'd see the day that there'd be school social media platforms in the first place, where school social media platform are retweeting, sharing and whatever else you do, hostilities complimenting their students. Last night we hosted the students from, my God, their behaviour and their maturity was excellent, right? Despite the fact they probably drank the pub dry. We'd like to compliment their parents, their schools on the wonderful job. I'm telling you, these boys are having a royal. And between the National Universities of Ireland, the technological universities, the colleges of education, apprentice education, and by the way, everyone can walk into a job whenever they walk out the door. It was a long time coming, whether it stays that way or not. Right, you might say, listen, hey, cop yourself on, this is not the way it is. I'm telling you, this is the new reality for this year at least. And by the way, we wish every single one of them the best of luck. I hope that if there's somebody doing the Leaving Cert in whatever house you walk by, and if they're getting stressed, but worse still, if you're getting stressed, sit down and relax and think about the few foolish words you're after saying there for the last few minutes. So that's it, my dear friends. Again, thanks for whether you're watching, listening. Till the next time, take care.